Hello everyone, I'm Mike the Hobbyist. Today my friend brought his car to me, having some issues. Why don't you come on and tell me about it?
Hey, so there's check engine light on, I believe is what it said. It's been on for a little bit. I'm not sure what's going on.
Alright, well, since it's a check engine light, I've probably thrown a code. Got my code reader right here. So how about we go and see what the issue is?
Awesome.
Alright, so before we get to actually seeing what the codes are, we need to go inside and locate the OBD port on the vehicle. In this case, it's going to be right here underneath the dash trim. So let's get our code reader and plug it in here and see what the codes are. Alright, so we've got our code reader right here. So I want to take this plug. As you can see, this is OBD2. So we're going to find that port again. It's right here. And we're just going to plug it in. So once it's fully booted up, what we're going to do is going to grab the keys and we're going to turn the ignition on since it is already off. So once your ignition is fully turned on, we're going to hit the enter key. This is the 2010 Sentra, so we're going to continue. Alright, so once it's all booted up, what we're going to do is look at the OBD2 OBD codes. We're going to hit enter, and so the first code that we're looking at is the P0420 code. Catalyst system efficiency below threshold bank 1. So let's cycle through and see what else we have here. P0455, evaporative emission system leak detected. I've already looked at this and the owner said he doesn't have a gas cap, so I'm going to ignore this for now until we get a new gas cap. Cylinder 4 misfire detected. Another P0420 code. Another P0455 code. So what we're seeing is a repeat of a bunch of the same codes. So after looking through all the codes, the biggest issue and the biggest concern that the owner has are the P0420 codes and the P0304 codes. So we're going to first investigate the catalyst system efficiency below threshold bank 1 and see what this code means exactly for this make and model. Okay, while we have the code reader connected to the car, what we need to do is we need to look at the data stream to see if there's anything that comes out as unusual to us. So I'm going to go ahead and bring up the data stream up, and I'm going to start the car so I can get a proper reading on what's going on. Alright, so we started the engine on the car, and there's a few things that we're specifically looking for to see whether or not it's the O2 sensors or whether the catalytic converter actually does need to be replaced. So we're going to scroll down until we come across where the O2 sensors are reading. Okay, so here's the O2 sensors. As you can see, one's reading 0.290 and the other is reading between 2.075 and 2.195. So that's pretty normal for bank 1 and bank 2. So it doesn't look like that it's the O2 sensors. In order to check the catalyst, I'm going to go down to where it says review data, and I'm going to go into diagnostic monitoring testing. Now I want to take a look at the catalyst bank 1 and see what it says. Okay, so here it says that the max reading for it is 255 and the minimum reading is 18, but it's measured at 9. So that's why we're getting the P0420 code, because it is reading as below. So with that being said, I feel pretty confident that it is actually the catalytic converter that is going bad and needs to be replaced. Alright, so now that we have a rough idea of what's going on, now it's time to actually take the car apart and get a better understanding and investigate what actually is going on. Alright, so I'm going to start with taking the hood off. There's 2 bolts here, and on the other side there's 2 bolts right there as well. I want to take this off. Well, you don't have to do this. I feel like it would make my life a lot easier if I did, and easier access to get in the back of the engine bay, because right there is where we need to get. Alright, so now that we've got the hood off, now the next part is taking off the intake. We're going to start off by removing the plastic cover with these 2 bolts, and then we'll actually start working on removing the intake. Alright, so with the plastic trim off, we're going to start taking off the actual intake itself. We've got 3 bolts on the bottom right here, and there's 2 in between. There'll be 1 right here. There's going to be 1 like right here, and then there's some bolts on the back. There's a bolt right here, and there's 1 on the other side. It's kind of hard to see, but and then there's these hose clamps that we're probably going to have to pull off, and be careful not to damage your mass airflow sensor in the process. So that's what we're going to get started on. Alright, so we got the intake bolts out, so it's loose right here. Next step is going to be actually disconnecting the battery. I should have already done this, but as you can see, we're going to be disconnecting some electrical components. So to prevent any damage to those, we're going to disconnect the battery. That way there's no way that we can damage anything. Alright, now that I got the battery out of the way, we can proceed with unplugging these connections as mentioned earlier, and I'm going to loosen up this hose clamp and try to pull this entire assembly off. But before we can do that, we're going to have to disconnect this line right here, and then there's another line that runs to the back of it on the back right here as well. So we're going to yank those, and then we're going to try to get this off. Alright, so there is one little detail that I forgot about. So there are a couple lines right here for the heater block for the intake. And then as far as the throttle body is concerned, we're going to have to pull this off because there's a bolt that's holding it down on the other side, and you can't get it off without taking that off, unfortunately. So we're about to yank the throttle body off, which is just 4 bolts. And then we're going to disconnect a couple of these, get this line off, and then pull the bolt out and get the intake out. Alright, so now that we've got that pesky intake off, now let's see if I can get it to where you guys can see. So right here, right there is that bolt that's keeping everything on. So we're about to yank that out and get this intake off. Alright, so we got the intake off, and now we need to get this shut off by getting this bolt and this bolt out. Alrighty, so we've got to the point where we got that shot off. It is a little dark, I apologize for that. But so we got the shot off, and then we got the insulation blanket out of the way so you get a little easier access in there. And then this right here is where we can start to see the first catalytic converter. So I'm gonna get the car up on some jack stands, and then we're gonna have to take a closer look. Alright guys, so got the car up on some jack stands. I did go ahead and pull the catalytic converter out. In order to get the catalytic converter out, there's a cross member in there. It's got 4 bolts. And so to get the actual catalytic converter out, you got 2 of these bad boys. Not terrible to get out. If you have air tools, then shouldn't have much issue. If you don't have air tools, then I would get some PP Blaster, your favorite penetrating oil, WD-40, whatnot, to get these out, because they were pretty rusted in place. The other side was a little more difficult because the way it mounts in there, it's got just the one bolt head, and it just goes straight through. As you can tell, I'm gonna have to clean, if you can tell, but I'm gonna have to clean those threads up because they are pretty gnarly. Anyways, that's really all there is to it. I did go ahead and get the O2 sensors out. They weren't terrible, and we're replacing those along with the catalytic converter. Alrighty everyone, thanks for watching. I really enjoyed making this video. I hope you enjoyed watching it. If you did, don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button. Drop a comment down below if you'd like to see me do something else, whether it be on vehicles, gaming, fishing, you name it. I'll always read your comments, and hope you guys have a good day, and I'll catch you in the next one.